have 5 minutes for an interview? No?
No?
Okay.
Sure, I can answer a couple basic questions. What do you need?
Well, is it okay if I record you? I'm mostly just asking about
pen and paper or just written down.
Okay.
We don't really like voices or faces
that's
on
fine.
camera.
Got it.
Are y'all okay doing it? School?
I can I was just gonna record a conversation, but did you want me to?
Sure. Were you gonna post the conversation anywhere, or was it just for your own?
Ideally, unless you say at the end that you don't want me to.
It's okay. Yeah, we're keeping names and faces out of it.
Well, okay. We can just mask up.
Yeah,
I'm
whatever.
cool with
works
that.
for you.
Okay, cool. I'm Nathan.
Nathan,
What's
I'm
your-
Jay.
Jay?
Jay will work. Link. Yep.
Nice to meet you.
Link.
Yeah.
Link. Nice to meet you.
So I'm just asking people. I feel like there's a lot of people I know on social media are lost in the message, I think, of the protest. So I'm trying to bring voice to that and ask people what would satisfy the protesters. Or first of all, actually, before I get into how do you feel about all this?
About the whole protest
About everything.
situation generally?
Yeah.
I've been waiting for a movement like this for a long ass time. A lot of us out here have known that clearly the whole policing situation in the US is fucked up. So, I mean, a lot of us out here who've been in core organizing groups have been calling for total abolition for years anyways. And this is a situation where a lot more people, I think, are getting on board with major reductions in policing or just outright abolition. And to be honest with you, until we start seeing meaningful cuts at the actual numbers and scope of the police in Portland, people aren't going to be happy. The first round of cuts they did was mostly smoke and mirrors. They shuffled around some departments, but didn't actually cut down in the number of officers at all. So we're not going to fall for shit like that anymore. I mean, we have 100+ years of supposed reforms that usually end up putting more money and more staff into police departments. So we're actually looking for abolitionist type reforms that are actually reducing policing and turning control over to more community safety programs that don't involve armed men with guns coming into our homes and communities to try to prevent harm, because we just don't think that's the way to get things done.
Awesome. So what would be the number one thing that you would want? If you could have a wish list, what would be the top of that list of Ted Wheeler has the power to do X, and then he's not doing X, and until X is completed, I'm going to stay out here and protest.
Gotcha. We would be calling for the complete dismantling of the Portland Police Union to start. The union is a completely garbage operation.
Okay.
They're protecting dirty cops, doing all kinds of messed up shit for years. They just need to go. Cops aren't workers. They don't provide a socially beneficial service. They don't produce anything. They just enforce laws that oftentimes hurt people more than help anyways. So the union has for sure got to go. We've known that for a long time. That's why their building got set on fire the other night.
Right.
The unions are a very worthy focus of outrage, in my opinion. The fact that they just re-signed a 1-year negotiation or 1-year contract with the police union that gave all the cops a raise despite the fact that they froze a raise for the rest of our city employees rightfully pissed a lot of people off. So an actual abolition of the police union so that they can stop protecting cops when they pull off dirty shit and actually give us more room and more just space to maneuver around reducing the scale of policing. If I had a perfect wish list, it would be the complete defunding of the Portland Police Bureau over the next few years as we transition all those funds into other programs that actually address harm at the root cause instead of just showing up with guns after the fact. Yeah.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, what we would want to do is complete abolition of the police union, and then
As a start. Yeah.
And then replacing the police force in general, it seems,
Yes.
with
All kinds of stuff. So
social workers and things like that.
Well, social workers are an interesting thing because they've also been a big tool of state violence historically, in terms of if you want to get social services from the state, they heavily regulate your behavior. You tend to get put under a lot of surveillance from the state in various other ways. So that's not a perfect system itself. Something that I think is important to remember is that our current institution of policing isn't a single thing that was come up with in a day, and it's not going to be replaced with a single system someone comes up with in a day. It's going to be a bunch of small innovations and small programs that kind of form together into larger institutions that actually keep people safe. Basic things are housing guarantees, free healthcare, and actual provided food and mental health care services for everyone. That's how you actually stop a lot of the harm that happens before you need to call in cops after the fact. Obviously, the vast majority of the Portland Police Bureau's work is managing homeless populations. So actually getting people housed, getting people into mental health care programs, making sure people are fed and have their other basic needs met. That's how
housing for the homeless.
A housing guarantee is a basic thing that I think every city should be working towards as a top priority.
Right.
No doubt.
Okay. And then I suppose my next question would be on a scale between 0 and 100, where 0 is all I have are questions about how to implement this and how that would work, and 100 is I'm closed-minded to being wrong. This is absolutely the best way to do things. Where are you on the scale of confidence about that?
Sorry, clarify. Confidence about what?
It's like how the feeling of your conviction about that being the best way to satisfy the protesters.
Gotcha. I see what you mean. I'll put myself.
Let me know if that's not a fair question or.
Sure. I guess.
I'm just trying to scope. I guess the reason behind that is I'm trying to get the feeling for, and basically where I'm going to go with this is I'm just going to ask, what would make you more confident that this is needed, and what would make you less confident that this is needed, and figure out what number you'd give it on the scale and what it would take to move you up or down.
Gotcha. I mean, I guess on your scale, I'd maybe throw myself at a 75 in that, like, I am highly committed to a lot of this stuff. These are things I've been studying for years. There's so much, like, literature and history and work that's been done on these things. It's not like none of these are new issues, and none of the stuff we're recommending or calling for are new calls. This has been going on for decades or centuries even. It's just that we see periods where this stuff gets kind of re-pushed into the mainstream, and then it gets suppressed again, people get comfortable again, people go home, people stop showing up. I mean, throughout the 60s and 70s, you saw major uprisings throughout the US, places getting burned down, you saw major changes happen. Of course, a lot of those ended up being more reforms that entrenched a lot of the systems they were protesting against, which is why we're still out here. We have a new list of names of people killed by cops that we're calling out every fucking night. So, I mean, these are things that I've been learning about for a long time, so it's not like... I'm always open to learning, and I always love hearing from new people and new things, and especially being on the ground out here, you're constantly having your convictions challenged, but at the same time, you're also constantly getting reaffirmed that this police state that we live under isn't the way to meet people's needs and keep people safe. Cops aren't what keep us safe. Cops address harms that the state generally creates in the first place. If we didn't have people living out on the streets, if we didn't have people in constant desperation and living in poverty because of our broken capitalist system, then we wouldn't need armed men with guns running around trying to police us and keep us safe. Yeah. So what we're talking about is kind of some restructuring of our city and our society in a way where the basic needs are met first so that we don't need all of this violent response after the fact.
So it sounds like maybe poverty and the homeless crisis are things that would need to be addressed as well.
Yeah, they're integral to it. It's all part of the same thing.
So is there one thing that I think I might have already asked this, but I'm going to reiterate. Is there one thing that like Ted Wheeler could do tomorrow? Like if he just like, or maybe what would be the number one thing that would satisfy, you think, the protests in Portland to make them to satisfy the population, I suppose.
Obviously, I can't speak for everyone out here.
Right.
Every person you ask might.
But I'm asking everyone that question.
Sure.
Yeah,
gotcha. Yeah. Well, speaking for myself, I would like Ted Wheeler to resign. I don't think he's the person for this job. I think he's demonstrated that time and time again. I just think he should go. I don't think he has a role in this. I think the best thing he could do for all of us would be to quit his job. Given like an abstract mayor who's in our city, also the police commissioner, they would actually need to be on board with a dismantling of the police bureau and actually offering us a meaningful plan. Obviously, it's not going to happen in a day. We don't just want to like abolish the cops in an instant and let chaos ensue. This is going to be a process over years of us taking those resources and redistributing them to other programs and other services, preferably built from the community up. We're not trying to like impose city programs on people. We're trying to ask communities what they need, let them develop institutions, and then give them the resources they need to make those actually happen.
Okay. And is there anything that you could learn or find out that would make you doubt any of the claims that we talked about today?
I've heard that.
I've probably heard them all. Like I said, this is something I've been working on for a number of years. I've had plenty of police apologists and pro-police state people try to kind of convince me of their side, and I've done my best to be open-minded and listen, but at the core, I think I'm driven by compassion and anti-violence, which doesn't always mean non-violence, because what we're out here to do are dismantle systems of violence. Violence that's carried out against people in all kinds of forms, be that actual like overt violence from a gun from a cop, or structural violence in terms of resource deprivation and other situations like that. So if we want to create a less violent society, we just need to meet basic needs first. And I'm not convinced that police have any meaningful role in doing that, and I tend to think they actually hinder that in a lot of ways. So As far as I'm concerned, if we're serious about actually taking care of our people and creating a more equitable and just society, that means meeting basic needs, not policing and shooting people.
Okay. I feel like I understand you. Is there any questions you have for me or anything else you want to say?
Are you with a specific
I'm
outlet?
independent.
Gotcha.
I practice something called street epistemology, and it's a way of charitably understanding what people have to say about whatever belief system that they have. And then I ask them, no matter what the belief is, what would make them more confident and what would make them less confident, to see if they have standards by which they would move on their scale.
Gotcha.
But also just, it's a way of just hearing people out, listening to what they have to say, because I feel like most people these days don't do that so much.
Absolutely. Yeah, we don't live in a great age for discourse. We live in more of an age of take your belief and go march into the street with it.
Right.
I gotta say, probably the best interview of the day so far.
So far.
I mean,
I'm glad.
totally in line.
It's useful when you have like a friendly interview too.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it, my friend.
You bet.
What's your name?
Jay.
Jay.
Like the bird, Jay.
Did you want me to
Nice to meet
bleep out your first name or anything like that?
It's not my real name.
All right, cool. Perfect. Thanks, Jay.
Thank you so much.
I'm doing some brief interviews with people. Do you have 5 minutes for an interview?
Sure.
Okay.
As long as it's not in the sun.
Sure. Right here is fine.
Come on.
Here, I'll stand over here so I don't get that other guy in the background.
Yeah.
Consent to film? Okay.
That's fine. Who are you guys with?
I'm just myself.
Just you? I'm a
Yeah.
streamer as well. Yeah. I'm a
Okay.
streamer and a reporter.
Nice. Yeah. Some independent media.
Yeah.
So, I'm going around just asking people how they feel about these protests and what you think would satisfy the protests.
Satisfy the protest?
Yeah.
Ideally.
Yeah, ideally.
Abolition of the police and redistributing those funds to areas that are proven to work.
Okay.
Because the police blatantly do not work in reducing crime, or half the time they don't even investigate crime until after it's occurred. They don't prevent it, they respond to it.
I see.
And there's other places that you can take those funds and put them into that are more towards prevention.
Okay.
Prevention. Like, for instance, they send cops to, the most well-known one I know is they send cops on wellness checks when they are not trained social workers, and a lot of the times they end up shooting the people they're supposed to be checking on.
So do you think that protesters should be out here until they see police reform?
Yes.
Okay. And what does the police reform look like approximately to you? Is it like
To me,
half?
it's less reform and more we just have to remake the entire system. It hasn't worked for a while. It's just people are just now starting to fight against it in mass.
So I'm hearing you say that we need an overhaul probably. Seattle did a 50%
That would have been
cut.
fucking nice.
That would be
if
Portland did that,
that would be a start.
it'd be a start.
That would be a start.
Okay.
A good example to research would be, I think it's called Camden, but I can't remember what state it's in. They completely abolished their entire police force and remade it from the ground up. They have seen like a 40% reduction in pretty much across the board crime.
Okay.
Just
And-
from doing that.
And should the alternative? So I'm hearing you say defund the police department, but then replace it with mental care, social workers, things like
Replace
that.
it with things that are actually proven to reduce crime and not lead to recidivism.
Like evidence-based
Evidence-based.
crime reduction. Okay. And
You're always going to need, in my opinion, someone to do things like investigating rape or investigating murder, but that doesn't necessarily have to be cops.
okay.
But you would still need someone who, like a small force, who could do that. But he wouldn't be sending cops to a mental health crisis or stuff like that. Like my uncle was a psychiatric nurse, and he knows how to deal with individuals who are mentally ill. Cops do not have that training.
So if let's say tomorrow, Mayor Ted Wheeler says, you know what, we're going to cut 50% of the budget for the police, and we're going to instead allocate those resources to mental care professionals, things like that. Would that
Or the Portland Street response, or this and the other thing that we have in the city. Yeah.
Okay. Would that be the first step on the road to satisfying the protesters enough to make you feel like they accomplished what they were setting out to do?
I would say it's a start.
Okay.
It's a start. It's not all of it, but it's a start. It would be a start.
What would be the thing that would make you feel satisfied to going home again and living normally?
complete disbanding of the Portland Police Bureau and reforming like it from the ground up. Because just taking away 50% of the money still leaves 50% there.
Okay.
In the same sort of a group with the same rule set, the same, like, how do I put this? Sure, you take away half of the funding, but you still have half of that funding going to a group that pulls over black people at an amazingly disproportionate rate in Portland in the city. And I think they've been like having Department of Justice investigations for civil rights violations for literally my entire life. And I'm 28.
Okay. So if the police if they completely, let's say we completely do away with police as we know it now, and then we allocate like 50% of those resources to mental care, mental health, and things like that. How would we rebuild the police to be different? In other words, if my car gets stolen, do I send someone else?
There are people who have much better plans for that than I do.
Okay. Well, who do you suggest we listen to?
Don't Shoot PDX.
Don't Shoot PDX.
Yeah, they're a nonprofit.
Okay.
That's the big one that I know of in Portland that's been doing a lot of the protest stuff. They're the ones who are doing the lawsuit trying to stopping PPB from tear gassing us, which didn't happen last night because that was the feds, and we can't.
Right.
Yeah. And I know that our representatives are currently suing the federal government specifically about that stuff.
Right. Cool. Well, I feel like I got a good picture of what you think about the issues. And do you have anything else you want to say?
Not that I can think of, other than I think that's either a tear gas munition right there, or it's a candle. I can't tell.
Yeah, they're all over the place, and it's all over the ground and everything.
Not tear gas. Okay. They're the same size.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you.
Yeah. Okay.
And stay vigilant out there. Yeah.
What was your name?
Scarlet.
Scarlet?
Scarlet.
Thank you, Scarlet.
Scarlet.
Yeah, like the color.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks for reminding me to get the name. I do that a lot. Oh, this guy.
I'm not sure if they're totally...
Hey there. Do you have 5 minutes for an interview?
Interview?
Yeah, it's real short. Just doing short interviews and just asking people generally how they feel about the protests and generally like what they think would satisfy the protesters. Is it all right if I record you? If you have a couple of minutes? You could say no.
I mean, I want to, but I don't want to do it right now.
Sure. All right. Well, no problem. Think about it, and I'll be around.
I'll come back.
Hi there.
Hi. I heard that you are doing interviews.
I am. I'm doing interviews. Yeah. Do you have 5 minutes? Is it okay if I record?
I have minutes.
Cool. All right.
All right, if I film?
Yes.
Okay.
First of all, how do you feel about the protests in general?
I feel that it's necessary because we, as a people, have tried a lot of other things. You know, going directly to the people who are in charge, asking them, demanding for our needs to be met, demanding for there to be justice for these basically crimes that people who are supposed to be keeping the law in order, right? They're the ones committing the crimes. And we have tried so many different things to get our point across, and nothing is changing. People are still out here dying. People are still out here getting tear gassed, getting shot.
Yeah.
My homie just got shot. He got 2 ribs broken. My friend got shot in the head with one of the rubber bullets, and her glasses broke, and her head is fine, thankfully. This other dude, Donovan, he's gonna be in the hospital for like 6 months because he got shot in the head before.
Sure.
So my other friend is fine. But like, you see what I'm saying? Like, we're not out here shooting people. Okay? Is this recording?
Yeah.
All right, we're not out here shooting people. We're not out here trying to hurt people. We're out here trying to feed people and trying to let the cops know that this is not going to be what the future looks like. We're not going to have a gang running through the city trying to take people, kill them, hurt them, beat them. You know what I'm saying? Like, this has been going on, and people are concerned about it now because we saw the video of George Floyd, and that got everybody out here because we saw on video, but this happens all of the time. Like, this is the cops' attitude, you know what I'm saying? Like, they are not for us. Their motto is serve and protect, but who?
So
not us. Like, we get shivers when we hear sirens, you know what I'm saying? We get anxiety. Like, that's not what we want our community to look or feel like, you know? And it's down to the point where, like, we're keeping each other safe, and we're out here protesting how they've been treating people for so long. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so we're protesting how people are being treated.
By the cops, by the government, yes.
So what would satisfy you as a protester to make you feel like the protests aren't needed anymore?
Okay. If the cops' goal wasn't just to attack people, if the cops' goal was to provide safe space for the community and provide help for the community, like there are some points where you do need somebody to get involved. But if their goal when they come out here is to target individuals just to try to lock somebody up, like they're locking people up for no reason. You know, and
yeah, so the federal government seems to be pulling people off the street for no reason without warning.
So basically, we don't want that. We want them to just listen to us. I don't know, like, I've been thinking about that. Like, how do we get together? Maybe a meeting or something? Yeah. But basically, cops who have committed these crimes need to be dealt with as citizens would be dealt with, period.
If you were the mayor of Portland,
if I was the mayor?
Yeah, what would you do?
I would check out every single cop.
I'm Nathan.
I would check out every single cop that's working right now.
Uh-huh.
Every single cop, because they have backgrounds that are not okay, that are being covered up. I would have that investigated, every single one of them, over again. Like restart, basically. Like we could maybe still have cops, but they have to be investigated. Their past has to be investigated. Their mental health has to be investigated. Their intentions. You know what I'm saying? Like they've been trained to be aggressive and hurt people, but like and. Have you heard this? This is on the internet. A hairstylist needs more training than somebody who's roaming around with a gun.
Right. Police don't need licenses, but hairstylists need licenses.
Yeah. So it's like.
So would you, as mayor, make it so that way there would have to be a standard, like a license for a police officer?
Yeah, and proper training, learning how to deal with citizens, deal with people who have trauma. You know, because they are trained to keep their cool in these types of situations and know how to deal with these situations. We as citizens are not. You know what I mean? And they treat us like we're supposed to know like how to react. So when we're acting out, they can't just shoot at us. They have to understand that like we are going through shit. That's why we're out here. You know what I'm saying? So yes, proper training in emotional health, well-being, communication, and things like that. Not just how to beat somebody up, not just how to work a taser, not just how to mace somebody or use a fucking baton or throw a grenade. You know what I'm saying? Like not just that stuff, but also how to deal with people. So proper training.
So
and background checks.
If Mayor Ted Wheeler like tomorrow made it so that way there was like this whole program where police officers had to go through intensive training and get a license, would that satisfy your desire to be a protester?
I would have to see that change happen. I'm not gonna lie, I don't think that we're going anywhere for a while. I feel like there's quite a few reasons why we're out here. Like this right here is not necessarily protest. This is community. It's a park. You know what I'm saying? The protests happen. Well, I mean, this is part of the protest. This is part of the Black Lives Matter movement, but we're also just kind of like chilling here. So this, I don't know if it's going to be going anywhere after the protests are over. But on the people who are rallying and marching, yeah, I think that could end if we saw that happen.
Okay.
Personally, that's what I think. But I mean, everybody has a different opinion.
Right. Yeah, and that's why I'm getting like lots of opinions from around here.
What have other people said?
You know, I've heard a mixed bag of things. I think though that generally the what to do about the police budget has been a big one, and what to do about stuff like that.
There's so much money going to their weapons and going to these things that are the exact reason that we're protesting. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, the money definitely being directed in a better place.
Okay. Is there anything else you have to say, or any questions for me at all?
Also, the prisoners, the treatment of the prisoners, it's just kind of fucked up. Like, with all that money, why are they eating slop? You know? Why are they being treated like shit? Like, I heard that this guy, so he had his handcuffs off. This is something that I heard from somebody who was in the, like, same cell area as this dude. I don't remember his name. I think it was, like, Chase. But he was locked out, had his handcuffs behind his back, and then somehow he got them to his front. 9 cops came into his cell and beat the shit out of him, twisted his arms back around, and then hung him on the wall with his arms back like this, left him to pass out and just be like bleeding and shit. He like passed out and woke up there. Like his hands swollen and like marks everywhere. Like the way that the prisoners are being treated is a concern too. Like they are hiding a lot of shit behind those doors.
So what's the solution to that?
What's the solution to that? Maybe some transparency, let us see what's going on, direct money towards the rehabilitation of the prisoners, towards programs, towards good food, towards mental health care, you know, therapy, like if people are in there for that long, well, I mean, I guess people aren't in there for that long, but you know, a lot of people do need rehabilitation rather than the way that they're being treated. So money being directed towards that, and just like good food. Like, why should they be eating salt? Huh?
Are you speaking on our behalf right now?
Nope.
No, I'm speaking on my behalf.
Okay.
Yeah.
On my behalf. No, I haven't said that.
Okay, because I've heard you speak on the protesters' behalf, and that's not quite fair.
No, I've said this is my opinion personally.
Okay,
Yeah.
personally, thank you.
I'm interested in your opinion too.
No, I don't talk to reporters.
Okay. Cool. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Do you have any questions for me at all, or?
Who are you with?
I have my own YouTube channel. I just ask people what they believe and why and all sorts of stuff. But
I'll talk to you in a second.
yeah, no, I'm not with anybody. I'm totally independent. I have my friend here, but he's just my friend.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're just into.
I'm not
like-
working for anybody, and I'm not making any money
We're
on
totally
this.
politically in line with what you're saying.
I'm basically.
I'm pretty in tune with like who's.
I'll tell you what
like,
I'm
you
here
seem like
for.
just people who are
We're out-
interested in
we're
like
out here
recording what's
trying
going
to-
on.
Yeah.
Kind of find an avenue to make the change happen, and we're trying to interview people to see
Yeah.
what their best intentions
And like, what is
are.
the
Yeah.
change and how can we get
Yeah. How can we get there?
Yeah.
The thing that I'm trying to work on is the how. So I'm
Money-
interested in
the money
how
is a big deal,
people
'cause that's
can
something
think
they're
about.
choosing to do. The money is a big deal. It's like we have simple demands. Like we want justice for what has happened, so that we can have peace in the future, and that comes with cops having proper training. And like, I lost my train of thought, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, all I'm basically trying to do is, to answer your question, I guess, is I'm just trying to improve the discourse by talking about how to do
Yeah.
what we want and make our demands clear, if there are demands.
Money is a big deal, and the individuals are a big deal. I feel like that's another thing we forget. Like these cops are individual people.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not only that, like it's about who they are and what kind of people are in their position. Because if it was good people like you and me making sure that everybody was safe,
Yeah.
I feel like it would go differently. You know? And then not just that, it's the system that's training them
Okay.
and what that training looks like. And then the money that's going towards what they're doing. You know, like tear gassing us and shooting us is exactly why we're here. And the more that they do that, the longer we're going to be here.
Yep.
So yeah, I guess that's all I have to say.
Great. Well, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
What was your name?
My name, Raven.
Does anybody have 5 minutes for an interview?
$20.
So for $20? I'm mostly just interested in doing interviews for people. If
What you need an interview for?
I'm just trying to get people's opinions around here.
Fuck it, I'll do it. I'll do it for free.
Really, whatever you want to talk about, because I'm not really gonna
I'm
try
not
to.
putting no mask on though.
That's fine.
Consent to film you?
Yeah, I don't think.
You're kind of in the shot. I hope you don't mind, if anyone minds.
I don't care.
All right, cool. I'll turn this around.
It's my people, man.
Well, pleasure to meet you. I'm Nathan.
Shay.
What was your name?
Shay.
Shay.
Nice to meet you.
Nah, if he comes up, I'm gonna pull up with my skateboard.
So, how do you feel about the protests in general?
I don't give a fuck
I think niggas is acting stupid.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on that?
Privileged white boy fucking shit up, fucking gates up for no apparent reason, making it so people get gas that don't deserve to get gas. Yes, people are acting stupid. I was saying the other day about a week ago, but no. These little privileged white boys out here with masks on, blacked out, fucking shit up, fucking it up for people that are actually trying to like have peace. Tired of it, bro. I'm tired of it.
So,
Tired of getting tear gas, bro. Tired.
so what would? Are you part of protesters, or are you
I'm
protesting?
around, but I ain't part of that bullshit.
Okay. Not anymore.
It's become something totally different.
What do you think it's about now?
It's just about people just fucking shit up for no reason.
Yeah.
Like we just cleaned this whole damn park this morning. This motherfucker was filthy.
That's why
People
we're
don't
in
give
the
a fuck
fucking
about
first
that.
place.
People don't care about the Black Lives Matter movement anymore. I mean, some people do. I mean, we got people coming up from Seattle now that actually care. But bro, this little motherfucker trying to do shit is just something totally different. I don't support it.
What would?
Sorry, because my phone.
What?
So what would satisfy you right now? What is the change that you do want to see?
Just be a human being.
Yeah.
Live your life. That's what George Floyd would have wanted. Rihanna would have wanted. Of course you need justice. There ain't gonna be no justice until we act a certain way. It's our character.
We can't.
So
You're only gonna rebel because you're fucking their shit up.
on a scale from 0 to...
Imagine if we didn't rebel.
Imagine
Now,
if what?
if they rebel, then it's something. Then we got something. But if they keep fucking shit up for no apparent reason, then they're gonna keep gassing people.
I see. I see.
You got people with asthma out here. They don't need that. You got people. You got homeless motherfuckers down the street stabbing motherfuckers for no apparent reason, and police are not even responding to that shit.
Yeah.
It's not about them anymore.
And there's little ass kids down here.
So, between a scale of 0 to
They're
100...
totally fucking up their whole slogan for serving and protecting them.
So I'm hearing you say that in general, the protests are probably less helpful than they are helpful. Is that right?
It's not that it's not helpful. It's that, like I said, these little privileged white boys, these privileged white girls coming out trying to have a voice, but they're doing it the wrong way.
What's the right way to do it?
Just be.
Right.
Just stand together.
That's right.
Support and be an ally because everything.
You ain't gonna win against the law, man. You're only gonna get thrown in jail, they're gonna make some money off you, and they're gonna put you right back on the street to do it again.
So what would be your advice to the BLM community?
Chill the fuck out, support the movement, and stand together. Like Martin Luther King wanted.
Nice.
Chill out, stand together, and support the movement. It's not about indulging our rage against buildings and the police. It's about Black Lives Matter.
Okay.
I don't know how else to say it.
So this will be probably one of my final questions. On a scale between 0 and 100, where 100 is they're doing a really excellent job, and 0 is they're not doing anything at all, where do you think you are on the scale of how the Black Lives Matter movement is doing today?
I mean, I'm blind.
The movement, though.
Oh, the movement?
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a really abstract question, so if it's unfair, let me
during
know.
the day, everything's cool. But when they coming out at night, that's it.
I say one thing.
All these anarchists are doing nonsense ass shit. They're just doing what they want to do. They're not doing what they have to do. They're doing what they want to do.
That's right.
So thank you for your time. Do you have anything else you have to say, or any questions for me at all?
Black Lives Matter.
Don't waste my time.
Right on. So,
I think she was wanting to say
yeah.
You asked,
Thank you so much.
how do we think the movement is doing today?
Yeah.
Like, we can only answer how the movement is doing within Portland, Oregon, because other places may be more progressive than us. But as of now, I feel like people kind of lost the meaning of the movement. So that's how I feel about it in Portland, Oregon. But I know other places are like very more progressive they're like doing things more organized and they're making a lot of progress. And that's all I want to say.
Where would you be on that same scale, 0 to 100?
Probably 50-ish.
Where, let's say like 100 is like things are happening and we are getting where we want to go. And 0 is nothing is happening and we're not getting anywhere we want to go.
I feel like it's like a 30.
A 30.
Yeah.
What would make us go from a 30 to a 100 or a 30 to a 90?
If people understand, like, if I don't know, like if the cops try to understand what we're trying to say instead of telling us like we're wrong all the time or that we're attacking them and that they're I don't know, like if they would listen to us as people and not as people that just like saying fuck 12 and shit, then maybe you can get somewhere more progressive than what we are now.
Awesome. Well, I think is about all the questions I have. Do you have any questions for me at all or anything like that? Or anything else to say?
What's your scale from 0 to 100? How things go?
Wow. Yeah, flip it on me. So I went through a surgery a little while back, so I haven't been able to get out here and see things for myself. So everything I've seen is through social media and through regular media. So my confidence in my number is low because I don't know how to assess the number. Though I think that I'm probably around a 32, probably. Only because when I go around and I ask the question, what would satisfy the protesters to allow them to go home, I get a lot of different answers. But if I could get a really solid, unified message from everybody that was like, this is the thing that would make me go home, then I would give that a higher number on that same scale.
It's been the same old bullshit every night. Niggas showing off with bitches.
How do we change that?
Entertained.
How do we fix that?
There ain't no way to fix it until they fix themselves.
Yeah. Sure.
Are you biracial?
I don't really know. I haven't really looked into it, to be perfectly honest.
I mean, I'm just asking because.
But I get asked that question all the time, so I imagine there's something.
You're a lighter skinned person.
Yeah.
Like, do you try to use your lighter skin for good? Like, you know, there's white privilege. There's also light skin.
I think that the best way to do that in my position is to ask questions. Yeah. And to ask people what they think. Yeah.
How do you think that the white folks like us can use our privilege to support the social justice for Black?
It's because when I speak about injustice, people barely listen, and then when a white person speak about it, they like listen more. And so I feel like I don't like that. Like, I don't like that a white person's voice is louder than mine about an issue that I personally face. Like, yeah, I don't like it, but I feel like if you got the privilege to make people listen, like, go ahead and do it, you know?
Make people listen, and then, yeah, we can elevate the voices of our Black principles in this.
Hey, does anybody here have 5 minutes for an interview, really quick?
I don't talk to them.
I don't think so. Thank you. Yeah, no problem. Yeah. I don't know if I'm gonna get anybody to. It's
Josh Ted Wheeler.
Perfect. I'm loving this. 1, 2, 3, check right.
I'm frowning.
And stop.
I was already talking.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hi there. Yeah. Hey, so I'm walking around. I'm doing interviews with people for 5 minutes on camera, if that's okay with you. And if you are not happy with the interview by the time it's over, you just let me know. I'll be around for a while and you can revoke your consent. But I'm just trying to get people's opinions out there. And so it's not just like watching people, watching fireworks and stuff like that at night. I want to see if I can get some people's opinions as to what the protesters really want and what would satisfy their needs as protesters, what would make them happy as protesters, what it would take to make you confident that this is working, questions like that. If you're open to it, then...
I'm not 100% sure because really my role in the protest up until today, mostly it's just been live streaming it. So I've just been recording everything as it goes along, and then I've also been recording Justice Center area like during the day. And today, this is the first time I'm out here in a different capacity to try to teach people how to work a shield wall, because the nights that I've been on there and I've reviewed my VODs, I'm seeing these people with like this shield made of cardboard that's about like this freaking tall, and I'm like, yeah, sure, that might be fine against a baton round, because like, let's be honest, we need to stop calling them rubber bullets. that's just downplaying what they are. They're called baton rounds. You know?
Yeah, right.
So we need to call them as such.
Oh, the one-handed thing with this is very tiring and it's murder.
Sure, that cardboard shield might, stop a baton round, but once a federal officer or PCD is within striking range, that cardboard's just gonna, it's gonna crumple like cardboard.
For sure.
It's not gonna do shit. This right here, this is three-quarter inch plywood. And sitting in the SCA, you know how hard we hit each other.
Yeah.
We hit each other about as hard as the feds are trying to hit these people out here. The only difference is we go and we have a drink afterwards.
Yeah. I mean, that would be the ideal situation, is to go grab all the feds and have a drink afterwards.
It's not gonna
make friends, but that's not going to happen.
I mean, my personal ideal situation would be to get like 30, 40 other Skadians, like knights and dukes, that have been fighting for the 20 or so years and have them on the wall with me, but...
Daytime, man. I can just see us in the sun. Hey, let's go look at this man.
Cool. Well, if you find that it's important to have a voice that's out there and give your opinion as to what you would want as a protester, in other words, the type of thing that would satisfy your needs to be a protester, I'm interested to hear it.
So, like, what needs would be from, like, the city and everything?
In other words, what would be the thing that would make you say, you know what, my needs are met, and now I can go home and I don't need to bring the shield down here anymore. I can now go home because they've done what I want them to do. What is that thing?
Oh, okay, see, I think I could answer that, actually.
All right.
Is it okay if I film?
Sure.
If you're if you have any specific thing you want to redact from the interview, you just let me know, okay?
Okay.
All right. So, what would that thing be? What would be the thing that would, so there's these protests every single night, and for like over how long? Like 50 days?
We're on day like 53, somewhere around there.
Yeah. So what would be like the thing either Ted Wheeler could do or that someone can do?
The absolute first thing I think needs to happen, and this would happen at the state level, is that we need to abolish qualified immunity.
Okay.
That is the very first thing that needs to happen, is we need to abolish qualified immunity. We've seen it in other states where they have abolished that part of the law, where we've had countless officers, they've resigned now. Mm-hmm. And that, to me, there's this pro-blue lives, for lack of better words, narrative about how it's only a couple of bad apples. Mm-hmm. And that, we've all heard that. Mm-hmm. But it seems like those bad apples, the moment qualified immunity goes away, they're going away too. So that would be the first thing I would like to see. The second thing I would like to see is not a complete defundment of the police, but a very, I would say, anywhere from 40 to 50% of their budget. I don't really know the numbers, unfortunately. I'm not really a numbers guy. Mm-hmm. But at least 50% of the police budget to be defunded, so that we can demilitarize them and put into social programs. Because when you really think about it, most of these crime typically doesn't happen. This is a good friend of mine from back home told me that crime usually doesn't happen if everybody's fed. And if we had more social programs that would help people with getting jobs, with getting housing, and with getting food, I honestly believe we wouldn't have as much crime. And we wouldn't have as much of a need for them. So if we took that money that's given them all this crazy ass equipment that I've seen night after night out here, which, to be honest, and for the record, I think it's bullshit that they're using expired tear gas.
Yeah.
They've got all this militarized
And what's because I think I've heard about that. Can you explain to me specifically what the problem is with expired tear gas? Is there a...
I can't quite remember.
Doesn't it change it into something else or something?
Yeah, I think it actually legitimately changes it into a form of cyanide.
Okay, yeah.
I think I would have to do my research on that.
Sure.
So just take that with a grain of
confidence
salt.
is maybe pretty low on that, but I see what you're saying, that it's probably not a good idea to be using a chemical agent that's expired.
Yeah, exactly.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, and correct me if I misunderstand you in any way, but it sounds like what you would want to see is you'd want to see social, either some social welfare or something needs to happen with, there's like limited access to resources for certain people. That's is the root cause for some
of the crime, yeah.
Some of the crime, and
that's not to say that there aren't bad people in the world, because we all know that. There's good in this world, and there's evil in this world. Yeah. Everybody knows that. Everybody can acknowledge that. The problem is with the justice system in this country is, especially when it comes to minorities, the people with the authority to administer justice only see the bad. And part of that is most of these larger cities like Portland and Chicago and all these other places, those officers don't even live in the town that they're working in. How can you consider yourself someone that can protect and serve the community if I won't even see you in the grocery store, or I don't see you at the bar happen to run into you at a bar on a Friday night? Now granted, we have COVID, so there's really no bar things going on, but that was the thing in my hometown back in the South. Just about every town, my hometown and the next town over and the next town over, the police officers in those towns lived in those towns. So they were actually a part of the community. And that's important, because if you're not a part of the community, it's very easily for you to disassociate and detach yourself, and worst of all, dehumanize the people in that community. And it's the same thing that happens with gentrification as well, but that's a whole nother rant. That would actually be another thing that I would have a demand of as a protester, is for them to hire people that actually live in Portland. Because I don't see how somebody...
Are there a lot of out-of-town cops that work on the...
From what I understand, most of these officers come from Vancouver. They come from Gresham.
That'd be news to me. I don't think I've heard that.
From Tigard, Clackamas, But they live in these areas, but they're coming to do their job of justice in Portland. I think Portland has enough people that could potentially take up that job themselves, you know what I mean? And it just, again, since they're not in the community, it's very easy for them to dehumanize those people there.
Okay. I think I hear that. So on a scale between 0 and 100, where 0 is nothing's happening and we're not enacting any change or we're not making any influence happen, and 100 is we're definitely on the right track and the Portland protests are moving in the right direction, where would you say that you currently are? Where do you feel like you are on that scale?
Well, I heard that there was a vote for a budget decrease. I know it wasn't the amount that the protesters demanded. I believe they demanded like $50 million or something, and Joanne Hardesty voted on, I think it was like 12 or 13. Again, I'm not a numbers guy. So I feel like on a scale from 0 to 100, we're at about somewhere between 30 and 40.
Okay. Wow.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
But that's me being nice, because I started coming out here at around day 28, day 29.
Okay.
And I first came out here to be an extra set of eyes for another streamer friend of mine who came out. And after around the third night, I decided to start using my Twitch channel as well to start streaming things as well. And my first night I came out here and documented the protests, I went back to my car at the Alder Street parking garage and found both of my windows smashed in.
Yeah.
Both of them were smashed in and nothing was taken.
Oh,
yeah.
So it's just like needless vandalism for the sake of vandalism, it sounds like.
Sounds like it, and I'm willing to go on record on this. I'm willing to believe that it was the Portland Police Bureau that did it.
Oh, yeah? What makes you come to that conclusion?
When I did pull in, I did happen to see 2 Portland police officers as I was walking to the elevator. I was on the 3rd floor of the Alder Street garage. I didn't think anything of it, because it's like, I just got a camera. I'm not doing shit,
If it's all right with you, I'm going to stand over here just so that way I'm not in the sun.
No.
Is that okay with you?
Totally.
Do you mind turning this way towards me?
Yeah.
All right, appreciate
Totally
it, man. Thank you.
But I actually talked with I explained the entire situation to a former LEO friend of mine from back home, and he was actually a riot cop back in the 80s.
Uh-huh.
And when I explained to him the situation and how everything played out, he said that wasn't random violence. That wasn't random vandalism. That was a message being sent to you.
Yeah,
So
saying
having-
like
so
it
having
may be
somebody-
dangerous to come down here and protest, so you better not do it again, sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So having a former LEO from when things were probably, I imagine things were a good bit worse in the 80s.
Uh-huh.
Having somebody from that era say, oh yeah, that was totally a message.
So you're around a 30 or a 40 on that scale. What would make you feel like the protests are on the right track and accomplishing more? What would make that number go up? What would you need to see to be more certain on that same scale on a higher number? What would be different than what's happening now? Take your time with it.
Okay. I need to see closer to that $50 million for starters being defunded. The number that the movement had pitched to the city council.
Uh-huh.
If I saw that number being what was detracted or defunded from the police and put into social programs, if I saw that on the news, that happening, that would bring that number up for me. If I came out one night and the Portland Police Bureau were not using tear gas, and even if they were, when they came out, they were a lot less militarized, that would bring that number up.
Thank you for your time. This is probably the best interview today. I just have maybe 2 more questions and then I'll be done. And
okay.
On that same scale, what would make you go down in confidence? What would make you feel like this isn't working?
If there was an increase of the unmarked vans that are snatching up protesters, if there was an increase of that, I would not feel safer out here. Now, granted, this is my own personal opinion, but if somebody doesn't identify themselves as police and they try to pull me into an unmarked van, I'm going to defend myself with my 16 years of martial arts experience.
Yeah.
I may die in the process, but I'm probably going to take 1 or 2 of them with me. And if anything, hopefully that would rally those around me to the cause. Another thing that would cause me to feel like that number would go down is if I saw more involvement of the Portland Police Bureau working in tandem with the feds. I actually, in one of my VODs, I do have on video I want to say it was a roughly somewhere between 80-20 to 70-30 split of feds and Portland police working together, even though they've been saying that they're not working together. I actually do have video of the opposite happening. So more of that happening would cause that number to go down for me as well. That's about all I can think of, really.
Great. Awesome. I think my very last question is there anything else you want to say or about the movement at all in general, or any questions for me at all?
My only honest critique about the movement is I think that there needs to be, even though I understand the risks involved with doing this, I feel like there needs to be more established leadership that goes and tells the agitators to fuck off, and if need be, actually drags their ass out. Because at the end of the day, they're not really
agitators, meaning the people that are throwing
like the bottles and all the other stuff.
I
Like
see.
If a person of color or BIPOC, however you want to put it, if they sit there on the megaphone and they say that this is a peaceful protest, cis white people need to stop throwing bottles. They need to stop throwing bottles. They need to stop setting shit on fire. If a person of color says this is a peaceful protest, you as a white ally need to listen to that black person.
I see.
Not doing so is basically you being out there with your own agenda. You're not there for the movement. You're there just to get your yayas out and just, play a part in the chaos. And that, we don't need you. We don't need that shit. We really don't.
So you would prefer that it be more of a peaceful protest about the message and less about the goading, maybe.
Yeah, because let's be honest, everything, violence.
And it looks like this tactic that you have here with the shield, this is maybe more of a defense mechanism.
Yeah, this is purely for defense. If I wanted to come out here for violence, I would have a lot more than just this shield. I bring this shield, and I bring a 14-gauge steel Viking helmet to protect my face and this body armor. This is all I wear. I don't bring any weapons or anything to the protest because I'm just there to defend myself.
I see. And you're right. And you're right to be out there and protest.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. I think I hear you, understand you, and great. If you have any questions for me, let me know. Otherwise, that was great, man.
Yeah.
What was your name again?
Wolf.
Wolf? Wolf. Hey, Nathan.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, hey, baby. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Wolf. Yeah, what's up?
So good.
Yeah, no problem.
That was solid.
It was great. He had an answer for every question, seemed like. Which is real good. Cool.